Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. No, Orchid Ma. Someone broke into your account. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I'm really sorry about that. No, we're live now. I just had to finish typing a sentence out in the description of one of the videos that I have coming up. I finished. I'll go back later on and make sure that it's spelled right and the grammar is somewhat close to being readable. But I'm sorry to hear about somebody broke into your account. That sucks. I've had that happen before. Good morning, Ben Smith. I hope you are doing well this morning, Ben. Welcome to the stream, Ben. Debbie, good morning, Will. How are you doing? And the family, so happy to see you this morning. Oh, I'm happy to see you as well, Deb. My family they're all doing great. My son well, he's really enjoying that he's back in school at least 2 days a week. It's been extremely beneficial for him. And I mean, it's beneficial for all children to be in school. He's just, I don't know if we'll ever get to the point in society where we can learn everything, virtually through a computer. It has its place, but it's not the best type of learning atmosphere for him. So, but he's really enjoying being back in school and being able to see his friends. He's made huge strides in the last, I'd say, month and a half, 2 months since he's been back in school. Now it's important to understand, that and put that in context. Though, my son, he has barriers to an education, barriers to learning. He is autistic, but that's not his only barrier. His method that he has since he's only 4 years old, but since even as a toddler, learning, we could put blocks out for him. He would learn that way, but he wouldn't learn by necessarily repeating something that somebody else had seen. He's more interactive type of learner. I mean, there's people who learn more by, reading. There are people who learn more by watching others. There are people who learn, by interaction. There's all different kinds of learning methods. But my son is more of a hands-on. The more he can actually touch it and feel the texture and, of something, he learns more and retains more and more quickly doing that. So, and he has been speech delayed his entire life. Even as a baby, he never cried. He never was, colicky or anything at all. He did a little here and there, but even to this day, when he hurts himself, he will just look at someone and then walk away, even though the kid that had to hurt. And for instance, the other day he fell, he skinned up both his knees, his elbow, and his nose, and didn't say anything at all. He doesn't know how to express those emotions. He knows how to express happiness. He knows how to express love. He knows how to express certain things, but when it comes to pain and things like that, he doesn't know how to express them. He's confused. So, but don't take it wrong the wrong way. And I'm in the same boat with a lot of other parents. There's a lot of children out there with barriers to to education, with learning disabilities as well, who find themselves in the same boat. They just, it's hard to explain. You know your child, you know what they're like, and you know what's going on with them, but it's kind of hard to explain. You can, if you walked into someplace and you said, "Yeah, my son doesn't feel pain. He can jump out of a third-story building and he wouldn't feel anything." Well, he feels the pain. He just doesn't have the way to express it, and it also doesn't mean that he's a sociopath in training either. So he just doesn't know how to express it. He understands anger, happiness, and love. He understands those three really well. But in the last month and a half that he has been in school, for at least 2 days a week, because that's all we're going to right now for because of COVID, he's made huge strides. 3 months ago, he had a total of maybe 5 words that he said. He has a lot more than that, but they're trying to put this googly mook. It's not, they're not even close to a real word. And then he has other words where he says really, really slow, really, really, it's like he's whispering. And then other words he says, he had that were spoken fairly, openly and clearly, and you could understand, and he used them in the right context, and and stuff like that. But now he has maybe 50. So he's gone from 5 to 50 words in a month and a half. He's now making complete sentences. Unfortunately, it's always, "Daddy, can I have a cookie?" Or "Can I have some chips?" Potato chips. It's not the best sentences that I would like to hear from my 4-year-old. Or his other favorite sentence is, "Why? Why can't I?" Love it. Love hearing that 50 million times a day. Why? 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 It's like, but I know I'm ranting. All right. I'm going to say hello to people now. And good morning, everybody, in case I miss anybody. So scroll up the list here. Okay. Where did I leave off? Good morning, Cement Shoes. Welcome to the stream. Glad you could be here today. We have Nadine. Good morning, Nadine. We have another Tracy. Tracy 313. Good morning. Good morning to you too, Tracy 313. Welcome to the stream. Glad you could be here this morning. Colleen Ellis. Faithful One. Good morning. Welcome to the stream. Glad you could be here this morning. Hope you are doing well, Faithful One. I can only learn by watching and hands-on. I can read and forget what I just read 3 minutes ago. Yeah, see, I'm the opposite. I can read and something, and then retain it just like that. And I may not be able how to take the information from here and put it here in my hands, but I can read it and comprehend it as just getting the information from here to here when I have to do something. But if someone just shows me how to do it, I know the hell out of people by asking them over and over again. It's like, how'd you do that? Can you show that to me again? So we all learn in different ways. Leave it to Bieber. Good morning, sweetheart. How are you doing? Hello, and morning to all the wonderful people. Hope everyone has a great weekend. We all hope you and your wife and family are doing great. We are doing great, and thank you for asking. We are doing the best we can right now. Lisa, 54. Good morning, sweetheart. Welcome to the stream. I hope you are doing well this morning, Lisa. Molly, good morning, love. How are you doing this morning? Welcome to the stream. Gayla, good morning, Gayla. How are you doing this morning? Short Nice, good morning. Welcome to the stream, Short Nice. Area Jan, or someone bring me up to speed. It sounds like we're describing my 7-year-old, and I'm at odds with her dad to get her evaluated. Well, Area, I was talking about my son. He's 4 years old, and he is autistic. And when it comes to autism, there is a spectrum. You have your low end of the spectrum, and then you have your high end of the spectrum. The lower on the end, the more barriers to education and everything else. And it doesn't take, but you could take your child, your 7-year-old, to a, I think, well, here in my area, the people who actually do the diagnosis, you'd have to take it to a doctor to get actual, actual real diagnosis. But your students, your child's teachers, trust me, if your child has autism, they know. It's not something that is hidden. It's not that they don't look at the child and go, well, this child's just lazy, or this child just doesn't want to learn, or this child doesn't want to learn this way. I mean, we used to, as a society, we used to see that, we used to call children, with different barriers, and had who didn't and couldn't learn the right way. We used to lump them all into, well, this child is not doing so well. They're just lazy. And these ones are highly functioning. We're going to call them Asperger's. And we had all these other names for it, but we don't use those names anymore, especially since the word and the definition and the person who we actually, the professor Asperger that was named after was a racist prick. And you don't want to go down that road. You can Google all that on your own. But to get your child diagnosed, depending upon your area, I don't know of any good checklists online you can go by, because each child's different. I would start off with the child's pediatrician. Start there. So, oh, sorry, I'm not. I don't know if that was much help. Cheryl Lynn, good morning. Tim Flanagan, good morning, Tim. Welcome to the stream. Glad you could be here this morning. I'm sorry, I'm still scrolling through the list, and I haven't had a chance to read many of the comments. I'm just trying to get through here to say hello to everybody. Good morning. I see you. How are you doing this morning? Welcome to the stream. Should. Snowy's Photography. Good morning. Welcome to the stream. I hope you are having a great morning. Well, or is it afternoon where you are? Well, either way, welcome to the stream. I'm glad you could be here. Rupal. Good morning, Rupal. Welcome to the stream. Afternoon, Will. Oh, afternoon. Okay, he has an IEP, individual progress report for speech. Her teacher wants her in some IEP because she does what area? My son has what's called an IEP, individual progress report, um, where they break down, because my son has speech therapy. Well, he has speech therapy at school, but he also has speech therapy outside of school. We pay for that out of pocket. It's not even covered by our medical insurance for my son. That costs about $150 a week times four. It's quite expensive, and I know it is, but you know, I don't know. I don't want to get into an area here where I'm going to get into trouble and I'm going to make people mad at me. Um, but in a nutshell, I will do just about anything I have to for my son or my daughter. Um, and just because I'm able to afford to do something like that doesn't make me a better parent, and it doesn't make me a worse parent from, and it doesn't make anybody else a better or worse parent because I'm able to afford private tutoring basically for my child. I mean, I mean, when I get to the point where I can't work anymore, I'm not going to have any retirement, and I'm going to be old and lonely and broke because I'll have spent everything I can to give my children the advantages that they deserve. And, and he definitely has barriers to an education that I have to address. And I just don't think I can plop everything down on the plate of the public school system, or maybe your child's in a private school. I don't think that that's going to be enough. At least for my situation, if my son was in private school or in public school, I don't think that'd be enough, and he needs more. Because when you start off in life, behind the eight ball, um, you have to find ways to pick up that speed, to catch up with other children and stay with other children. I'm not trying to make him the next Albert Einstein. And I just want him to be happy in life. I want him to have the same advantages. I want him to fall and skin his knees just like another 4-year-old. I want him to grow up and want something, and desire for something, and and then feel the disappointment that daddy didn't buy him a BB gun for Christmas so he could shoot his eye out. And if you guys get that reference, you'll think that's funny as well. Small group, but distance said no. I have been helping her with extra stuff. Son is 6 month old. Hit the phone. Oh, that happens. My son. I left my Facebook open on. So I have the studio here, and then I have inside the house, we have a computer that my wife uses at her desk, and I was using it to check email. And UPS was delivering a package. It was a very heavy package. I had purchased a new bumper for my truck. Believe me, this is going to sound stupid, but you can buy a bumper for your car or your truck on Amazon. And the price on Amazon was actually cheaper than if I went to a salvage yard and bought it. So regardless, so I had this bumper being delivered, and the UPS guy was trying to get it up the stairs into my house. And I'm standing there, I'm holding the door. While I did, my son walked over to the computer, and I had Facebook open, and he decided that I needed to go live on Facebook. And by the time I got back, he had closed the screen down, so I didn't even see that it was running Facebook Live. So for 6 hours, everybody got to see or hear a Facebook Live or whatever the hell long it was. It was a long session on Facebook of just me and him interacting in the background, but no video because he had turned it all off, except for the recording of it in the audio. There's a young man who just moved into the flat above me, trying independent living. He has Asperger's. I need to do some research so I can be a good neighbor. Okay. Well, I see you. First off, there is no Asperger's syndrome anymore. If he has what people used to call Asperger's, or maybe he even refers to it as Asperger's, there is no Asperger's anymore. It was a term that was used to describe highly functioning members of society who have quite a few different ones. It wasn't just autism. It was autism and other people with other mental health and learning disabilities. They were all lumped together into Asperger's, the title Asperger, but it's not really Asperger. Asperger was nothing. It just came from, the guy who came up with the term. It was named after him. And everybody was like, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, you nailed it. Mm-hmm. Yep. Nope. He was wrong. And he did it because he wanted to, first get his name published out there, and he wanted notoriety for coming up with this highly functioning group, and he also labeled people in there who had nothing wrong with them at all. He labeled people who were shy and reclusive, and introverts. He lumped them all into this title of Asperger's, and there was nothing wrong with them. They just didn't want to socialize, and spend time at the pub, drinking a pint with their friends. So he said, well, you don't want to do that, so you must have Asperger's. Now, there are definitely children out there and adults out there with that are highly functioning. And for anybody out there who has or may have or knows somebody like I see you, if you ever get a chance, you have to watch it's a special. It was a series that was done. It started in Australia. Then they did some episodes in the United States, and they did some in the UK as well. But it was called Love on the Spectrum, and it might still be on Netflix, and you also may be able to find it through other websites, but just Google that, Love on the Spectrum, and it takes a look at those who have autism and other barriers, and it looks at them as adults. So we have all these other videos and specials and reports and studies and things you can watch about children who are down here, but there is nothing about them in their teen years, and there is almost nothing about them once they become adults. And Love on the Spectrum takes a look at what is it like for someone who has autism and is now an adult and is trying to become an adult, fall in love, be in love. How does someone who has autism or Asperger's or highly functioning to all the way to the lower and to those who are lower functioning, how do they express love? How can they ever feel love? And it goes through and it answers all those questions, and it's a very uplifting series. It was never meant to be on Netflix. If you can see it off Netflix, there's a lot more episodes. There's a lot more people who were involved in the entire thing. And it goes into a lot of like the support networks and groups, for individuals out there for with autism and other barriers. It's not just autism. Some of these people have barriers to they're not autistic. They have learning disabilities or physical disabilities, on top of it. But how do they get along as adults? I highly recommend it. It was a good starting point for anything. Anybody who wants to watch, because that's going to be one of those things, and you can't teach someone how to love. You can't teach someone. You can teach someone how to hate, but does someone who's been taught to hate, do they really hate, or are they just repeating the emotions and the actual they're not really absorbing, but they're repeating what they've already heard or seen. It's really easy to teach someone to hate, but do they really hate? If they're given the information of the other side, do they really hate? Or if they really don't like something, do they really not like it? So that's one of the $1 million questions that are out there. Snowy's photography. I'm old and broke. My oldest is almost 18 and has some special needs. We had a crap services for him growing up, but apparently when he turns 18, he might finally get him help he needs. Oh, I'm sorry, Snowy. Yeah, there are a lot of really great services out there for adults. It's those years. It's like when they're in elementary school age here, here in America, and going up through middle school, high school. There are great services for them, education wise. A lot of outside of school, there are services for them. And then once they become adults, 18, there's some that start to kick in, but there's not a lot that deal with the emotional and the rest of the development that what some kids need, children need. It's one of the greatest disappointments that has been known for a long time. So we've known about it, the lack of support and education for children with learning disabilities. We've known about it since the 1970s. We've thrown some money at it here and there. Basically, we put lipstick on a pig, and we said, look, we tried, we're doing something, but it's been a complete failure. And, in a lot of ways, the public school system has been a huge, failure when it comes to how they teach children with learning disabilities. They just said, well, okay, we'll just go slower for them, but trying to get the children to learn the same exact thing that their counterparts are doing in class, but just going slower. It's like, that's what it is. If we go slower, you'll understand, right? It's not necessarily. It might be the way you actually teach it, but they didn't start doing that until the 80s, and then going into the 90s, they started to get better. Understanding, okay, you can't just teach about how an apple grows or what's inside of an apple. You have to start from before what is a tree. That is what grows the apple. But and that child may be missing that complete disconnect between the tree and what is an apple. Before you can tear apart the apple and say, look, there's seeds and there's pulp and water and everything else in here, and glucose. Before you can do that, that child might be missing the connection between what is an apple and how it got there. And it wasn't until the late 80s and going into the 90s that we finally started to realize these children and these young adults are learning in a way that is completely different from others out there. But we're getting there. There are some benefits to technology, and we're getting better in a lot of ways. Any parent should be like that. Some just don't try, but I found want to shame. I've been homeless. My kids have had to live with relatives. We are on state aid, and we know the struggle. Yeah, I mean, life is a struggle, and I am. That's a whole nother subject. I mean, you've got a bad hand there, area. But just keep trudging forward. I wish there was something that we could do. I have a fundraiser that I'm doing that's coming up that starts Monday. I'm doing it for the Invisible project. It's to raise awareness for the homeless populations here in America, invisible people. But it's part of the Invisible project. But the actual nonprofit foundation is called Invisible People. Hedgeheld, welcome. Welcome to the stream this morning. Well, thank you, Rupal. Yeah. Area. Area. Yeah. If you go to my YouTube and you go to my main page and you'll see the 411 now, the big banner at the top. Below that, you'll see links that different things, tabs you can click on. If you scroll all the way over to the right-hand side, you'll see About Me. Click on that. Scroll down after a brief description of what my YouTube is all about. Obviously true crime, and you'll see a contact link. It's light gray against the background. You click on it, and it's going to ask you if you're a robot. Obviously, if you're a robot, you won't know how to click on the bot, put a check mark in the box that you are not a robot. But put a check mark in there, that you're not a robot. It will then confirm that you're not a robot, and it will give you my email address. And I'd be more than happy to chat with you offline off of all this, and like so many others. I mean, I do it, please. Because you never know, I might be able to help you, get connected with different services and stuff for not only yourself but for your child as well. All right, Pokemon Go, welcome. Good morning, Pokemon Go. I hope you are doing well this morning. CC, good morning, CC. Sorry, I'm scrolling through the list here. I'm sure I missed some people, and I did. There's two right there that I already missed. Sorry about that. Trying to turn this stupid banner off. Hey, finally got it. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I am still here. This is the voice of Free Nation coming to you live. So we have Chili Chrissy 1. Good morning, Chili Chrissy 1. I will. Hope you and your family are keeping safe and well. Yes, we are doing as best we can, Chili Chrissy 1. And thank you for asking. I hope you and your family are doing well Also, we're dredging through this year, waiting for it to get over with. It's 4:30 p.m. there. Oh, red rum, red rum. Good morning, red rum. I'll give you guys an update here in a minute. I have a step cousin who told me his son had Asperger's, but I watched her boy. I felt bad for him because I know he should be further along than he is. They are holding him back. Unfortunately, Colleen, that really does happen. And me and my wife we have our son in a play circle, I guess you call it. And a lot of children with learning disabilities, and not just learning disabilities, but barriers to learning, especially socializing. And autism is one of those, things, spectrums out there. I don't like to use the word disorder, but where they just don't like to be in groups. I know we take our son to this thing once a month, and he goes to it, and there are 12 kids in this group, and they will all sit individually and play with one toy the entire time, trying to get them to interact with, somebody, leading, a play circle where they roll the ball back and forth or interact at all. They just have no interest in doing it at all. All 12 of these kids are just kind of like, whatever. My son is more likely to take the ball and throw it the opposite direction because it gets in the way of his toy that he's playing with. Because they all come in and they don't get to pick a toy that from like a toy box. They're all in the circle and they walk in, and they're all exactly the same toy. It's like in 1 week they're all trucks, or they're all blocks, and they're all the same block, same letter block. And it's trying to get them to realize that they're not just individuals. There's a lot to it, but I'm not doing it justice. Explain it all. Good morning, Zelda. How you doing, sweetheart? Sorry I missed you. I'm scrolling up through the past comments here. And Ellie, good morning. The guy is Steve Wallace in disguise. Ellie, I get that I have gotten that a lot. I really have. That I look a lot like Steve. But trust me, me and Steve are two totally different people. I mean, Steve might be, right now pitching a tent somewhere, or wait, no, he just had his last episode was saying goodbye to his old ice fishing tent because he got a new one, and the new one's insulated, but he might be having a second step somewhere right now, somewhere, under an underpass or near a cemetery somewhere. But I'm sitting here in my studio. I've been watching his channel since he put out the boondocking video. It was almost an hour long video. I was a year, 2 years ago. I can't remember how long it's been now. I lose track how long some people have been, YouTube creators. Last time I saw you live, you was so drunk and funny. I do tend to have a few and kick back and relax. Speaking of Steve Wallace, I've seen him on a couple of his um, videos where he's been out there enjoying a second step. He doesn't get the if you listen to him and watch him, he doesn't get that loopy when he's just having a beer. But his older videos, if you watch them, where he's with a crazy neighbor and he's drinking rum and um, ginger ale. It's like, but he doesn't have a glass. He's just straight drinking the rum out of the bottle, and then he's drinking ginger ale to splash over it in his mouth. Kevin Brand, good morning. Inner Peas, good morning. Welcome to the stream, both of you. Sorry I missed your comments earlier. I'm almost back to the bottom here. It's like as I get down farther, there's more. What show is this, Cement Shoes? Well, no, his channel is called Steve Wallace, Wallis. You forget the I, but it's IS. And he does stealth camping in different locations around Canada. He's in medium in between the two sections of freeway. Other times camping off in the middle of nowhere. He's usually on Crown land, which is kind of like public land, or he's out in the mountains somewhere. Him and his wife, his beautiful wife, as he always says, me and the beautiful wife, are here today. I think I've seen her maybe once or twice in all of his videos, but his crazy neighbor and him, they built a raft out of barrels and 2x4s and floated up and down the river on it. That was the first one. The second one, they put solar on it, so they actually could charge up the trolling motor. It's actually a pretty interesting show. Camping in a moving van, a U-Haul van, on a public street with nobody, so nobody knows that you're even there. It's actually a really interesting show. But boondocking was, I think, if it wasn't one of his first videos, it was very close to one of his first ones. I see you. I tried camping once. Not going to do that again. To each their own. Not a lot of people. Rum will get anyone pissed. Yeah, that's true. Camping though, I see you. It's not for everyone. Some people enjoy it. Some people don't. My wife she's not a camper. She doesn't like to camp at all, in any type at all. But with that said, we've never owned a camper, a pull along or a drivable RV or anything like that at all. But we have one now. My wife actually talked me into buying one this past year. It's a 35-foot, pull along camper. It's got master bedroom. It's got a shower, full bathroom, kitchen. It's got a table that folds down and it turns into a like a bunk bed, and it's got a secondary over the cab sleeping. But you pull along, it's a fifth wheel. My wife had me buy it. Now, will she ever go camping anywhere in it? I highly doubt it. She wanted me to buy it, so when I go away out of town for these golf tournaments that me and Tim go to, that me and Tim have someplace to stay. But Tim already had a camper, and Tim still has a camper. And Tim is usually a lot closer proximity wise to where we go for these golf tournaments than I am. What is normally takes me driving, 6 hours, 7 hours, or overnight, 2-day trip to get to these places where we play in these golf tournaments. It's usually about 3 hours for Tim driving. So I have no idea what we're going to do with it. Maybe I can convince my son to go with me when he gets a little bit older, and when I can take him fishing, or just take him out to the wilderness and show him, learn what's there. Besides, so that we can learn hands-on, as opposed to what is in a book or on a YouTube video. So I've got hope for that. My daughter she has no desire to camp either. She travels the world and stays in hotels, and but it's not for her. It's not for my wife. They're just not interested in it at all. Chili Chrissy was born in Kenya. Wow. It's not camping if you're in an RV. You need a tent to go camping. Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, I wouldn't certainly call what I have. It's a camper. But it's definitely not necessarily camping. I mean, it's got all the amenities you'd have at home. It's just you just hauling it with you, your truck. You had a chance to travel down there, but always wanted to, and don't know why my dad moved here. It's cold. I was always wondering why my family moved to, when they had all the choices in the United States to move here, when they immigrated here from Ireland, why did they decide to move to Wisconsin and Minnesota? Why did they decide to go there? Of all the places they could have went. Could have went to Texas. Could have went to Oklahoma, where it was warmer, where it doesn't get anywhere near like the same kind of weather. But they got here. They came in to the United States and they said, you know what, this is nice. We'll stay right here in Wisconsin. That is so far from the type of weather and everything else that you'd have in Ireland. Kathy Drew here. Welcome, Kathy. Will, you always lift me up. Glad to be here. Well, thank you, Kathy Drew. I haven't been to the farmer's market since I worked at the downtown jail. I missed something there. Inner peas. Gayla, I still got to go to the farmer's market. So, warm in the house though. We have a farmer's market here, but it's nowhere near like some what other farmers markets around the United States are. It's our farmers market is more commercialized. I would say about 50% of the farmers market is small independent mom and pop farmers, and the other 50% is their commercialized entities who are there selling items. I mean, it's really obvious. The oranges do not grow anywhere near where I live. You can't get an orange tree or a lemon tree or any kind of citrus fruit to grow here. You can't even get them to grow in a greenhouse in a completely controlled environment. It won't work. But you'll go to the farmer's market and you'll find people selling, mangoes, papayas, lemons, oranges, limes. It's like, these are not things that grow in our area, because they're buying them from a wholesaler and then they're marking them up to a retail price and just to make money. And unfortunately, that's our farmers market here. And then you have the small independent farmer, or maybe they have a backyard, acre of they're growing a small select items, and they're selling what's extra that they don't need. And that's great. I'd rather shop with those people, but I've been to much better markets though, farmers markets. Kitty Cat Crafts. I live in Wisconsin. Yeah. Snowy Photography is in Ontario. Huh. Beautiful country up there, Snowy's Photography. Oh, that's who it was. If you want to watch a good comedy, some good comedy about Canada. Jim Garofalo did a really good series about Canada in the provinces. Chatterbox, good morning. You're not getting notices? Oh, I'm sorry, Chatterbox. Well, Chatterbox, you can write this on your calendar. 8 a.m. every Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So you'll have to configure that to what time it is where you are. But every Saturday morning, this is the 119th Saturday morning live that I've done. 119. But Nika Crafts, you lived in Moscow for 7 years, so I'm used to the cold weather. Ooh. Now, you're talking Moscow, Russia, or Moscow, Idaho. That's a real place. Moscow, Idaho is about 14 miles from Pullman, Washington. That's Moscow, Idaho is where the University of Idaho is, and Washington State University is in Pullman, Washington. But I'm guessing you're talking about Moscow, Russia. You would, Kathy, you wouldn't fare well in Moscow? In Russia, yeah. So I figured that's what you were talking about. Yeah, I went to college at the Washington State University, and I had to actually take a couple classes at the University of Idaho, which is never cheap. I'm what, 14 miles from the college, and that but to take a class there, that you're out of state tuition. But I had to do it, and needed the class, and the class filled up, at the school at Washington University. So what are you going to do, right? You have to figure out where you're going to take the class, because you have to take a class because you have to, if you want to keep your graduation date within the same, year, or, shoot within a year of the actual graduation date, you have to figure it out. You have to get the class. So I think it was, I don't know, maybe $120, $150, something like that, more to take the class at Idaho State University, as opposed to, there, because I was out of state tuition. It's insane. For what? For $150, you think I got any better of an education, or I learned more in that class? Well, I'll let you know. The answer is absolutely hell no, I didn't. And I remember the class very well. It was on geology. I had to take the geology class, to finish up. Well, I don't know what's going on outside, but I just noticed that I see the flashing lights through the window of police lights. Must be over at my crazy neighbors again. But you have to take the classes you need to graduate. So I heard you were teaming up with another creator. Is this true? Who, me? I don't know if you're talking to me or not, Chatterbox. Moscow, I might visit in the summer, but I wouldn't mess with Russian winters. Visions of Siberia. No. To answer your question, Chatterbox, I have no intentions right now of joining up with another creator. I have my hands full completely. Now, in January, I will have not one, not two, but 3 YouTube channels starting in January. I'll have three different YouTube channels, and I will have 2 podcasts. One I do with my wife every Saturday. We shoot Saturday or Sunday, but they go up every Sunday. And the other podcast is it's not something that I'm on normally. Maybe that's what you heard about, was that I'm on that podcast. And that's with a couple friends of mine. And my friend Kimberly is the one who actually started it, but she is more behind the camera now than she is actually a member of, in front of the camera on the podcast. And it's a rotating group of different creators who, and I'm not sure where their vision is for the long term for that podcast. We've kind of been all over the place when it comes to subject matter. And no, before anybody asks, I haven't looked at the comments yet. Before anybody asks, I'm not going to give out the link to that podcast. It's not something that I personally trying to think of the best way to put this. It's not that I don't want to be associated with it. I want them to figure out where this thing is going before it gets much farther. And I hope you can understand what I'm trying to say there. It's kind of like a diamond in the rough. If we could find some kind of direction, it would be a lot better, and it has the potential to be better. Most of the time, though, when I'm not on there, they divulge into areas that I have zero to no interest in at all. What do they call them? Multi-level players, or I'm trying to think of how they describe it. But anyways, I'm just going to go on. But yeah, my plate, Chatterbox, my plate is pretty full right now, man. Because this is all I do, sweetheart. I mean, have I bit off more than I can chew? I mean, right now I'm running ragged, the way it is, just trying to keep up with this. And then come January 1st, the 3rd channel starts. Now we've already shot the first 9 episodes for the new channel. And that channel is called Inebriated Truth, like drunken truth. So that doesn't start until January 1st. Just have an anti-more lane? Yeah, it can be. Do you have any tips for someone wanting to start a podcast? Oh, yeah. I have a lot of tips, Karen. Let's see. I hope everybody doesn't mind this or not, but let's see. First and foremost, if you're going to start a podcast, think about where you want to actually have your podcast. Do you want to, if you're going to have it on your podcast on YouTube, you need to make sure that it is visual along with, an audio, obviously. But you have to make it visually interesting as well. I mean, that could be nothing in the background at all, but make sure that the camera is actually on you. So there's a tip right there. If you're going to upload it to and have an RSS feed, you'll have to look into that in what an RSS feed is. Putting aside all the technical things of when it comes to a podcast, you can do everything from your phone. Everything can be done right here on this phone. You can make a podcast, take the video out of it, and just use the microphone on your phone. Most new smartphones, I use an LG, but smartphone, you can record to, or a laptop, a tablet. You can record directly to that. And then you can, with simple free software, you can remove the entire video part of it. So it's just an audio file only. And when you go to upload it, I'm picking my words here. Make sure I can have some. I'm saying something that makes actual sense, because there's about a million things turning inside my head. Let's start over. Tip number 1: be authentic. Give the viewer or listener something that makes you unique, that is not like the 400 billion other channels out there. Don't worry about those 400 billion either. All right, be yourself. Talk about what you know and what you find interesting. And it may be slow in the beginning to find fans and people who want to listen. But, I'm telling you, when it comes to starting a podcast, it's absolutely free. Record it to your phone and then upload it to SoundCloud. You get so much actual storage on SoundCloud, and they will push it out to a million other venues that actually post and have different podcast episodes. I mean, I could make an entire video on how to, in a series on how to do it, Kathy. But just be yourself. And there's a lot of bumps in the road. God knows, me and my wife did for ours. And I now have little pieces of tape, like here's a cord. All the ones that we use, I put a little piece of tape on them, and with a little piece of paper, and I write on that little piece of paper exactly what the hell does this plug into. Because when I moved this studio around for to do work in here, I couldn't figure out where half the I couldn't figure out where half the stuff went, and it suffered for a while there. We lost a lot of good videos, podcast episodes, where the audio and the video sucked. Well, we finally got it all fixed. Finally. I'm ranting. I'm not even reading the stream here. I go back up. Our downtown farmers market is trashed now from the riots. Are you in the near the Portland area there, Gayla? I can't remember, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. When I did a few podcasts, a friend had to edit them for me because of all the and ums. Oh yeah, I am very aware of that one. I think back about it. Auntie Moore Lane. Uh, I wish I never had to do it. I wish I could have just kept the podcast and my first 150 videos unedited and just been myself. But and I look back on it and I think to myself, you know what? That's me. That's who I am. But I had to water myself down, to become commercially viable, I guess. It's hard to say or put in words, but the uhs, ums, and yeah, and ya betchas, and the dialect of how I grew up learning, and speaking. You don't think about what people in your area, might actually say. And when it comes to the rest of the world, they're like, "Oh my God, you sound like a moron." No, I'm not a moron. That's just how we speak. We make pauses, in between words. We might, you might say hospital, but when I say hospital, in my mind, it sounds like host, HOS, hospital. There's like a pause in there, and then you pronounce certain consonants and vowels louder and less. My wife hates this one. I mean, I know how to say, Velcro, but that's just in my mind. That's how it comes out, is Velcro. It sounds like I'm saying it wrong. Sounds like I'm saying a lot of words wrong. But I have to do that. I have a lot of it. I have to edit. It's editing is not that hard. It's just time consuming, especially when you have to edit out how you speak. Following out, any thoughts on those gross subs groups? It's not as good as YouTube sees them purges your subs. I've lost more subs than gained. Your thoughts? Well, first off, Zelda. You have to be extremely careful with those groups. All right. So in a nutshell, it is against the terms of agreement with YouTube that you will never join or use a group or pay to buy subs. And it is against the user agreement, like, sub for sub, or I will join this group. You guys sub to me while I'm a member of this group. And then once I leave this group, you guys can all unsub for me. That's basically buying subs, participation for subs. That is against the terms of agreement with YouTube. Now, can YouTube actually enforce it? It has been one of the $1 million questions ever, since day one. And just a couple years ago, we saw the largest increase of all these groups like that and people doing this sub for sub stuff. I will point to you no more than two of the largest YouTube creators on the platform, Mr. Beast and Cutie Pie, and when it comes to the a-holes of the entire development out there, the two brothers, but they had a race to who could get to 40 million subscribers. And it was like, well, I can get to 40 million. Can you get to 40 million? So they turned all their fans onto the network and said, hey, sub to Cutie Pie. Here's a link. Here's the link. So sub to them. And they sent their fans out there rapidly to try to gain subscribers so they could win the bet, so they could get to 40 million first. And it really came into context of like, okay, did they subscribe to these channels because they enjoy the content, or did they subscribe to these people because they just wanted to help this person win a bet? And when it comes right down to it, though, I would never join one of those groups or do one of those or buy subscribers, because I believe in organic growth. I want organic growth. I want people to watch my content, enjoy my content, and want to be part of the community that I'm trying to build. Yes, it's long, it's tiring. And sometimes you'll lose 50, 60 subscribers. I've had weeks where I didn't do anything at all. Didn't even I put out my Saturday morning live. Put out a video on Monday of a cold case video, and then by Friday, by Thursday, when my next video was due to come out, I've lost 1,000 subscribers. I've seen it. It's happened more than once. It happened not too long ago. I was, I did a live stream, and then I lose every live stream, this one included. I'm saying it's just for reference. It's not, people take me the wrong way. Please don't take me the wrong way. Every single live stream that I do, I lose subscribers. Have a live stream with an actual topic, I lose subscribers. I have one of these Saturday mornings where we just sit there and talk, and catch up with each other, a friendly conversation over a cup of tea or coffee. I lose subscribers. And I put out a video and I reference another creator, I lose subscribers. People leave whenever they want to leave. And you know what? I look at it as they really weren't, fans of the content anyways. If they leave over a live stream, or they leave over, they don't like a certain video. They don't like that. Well, I don't think that you did this right. You didn't talk about this. Well, we didn't talk about it because he can't confirm it. He can't factually support it. But they don't see it that way. They don't get the greater message. But I would stay away from those groups, though. Zelda, in a nutshell, to wrap that up. They are a huge issue. If you can help, if you can join one and they can give you technical support, or you can lean upon them and they can answer questions for you, great. But if they ask you to do sub for sub or anything like that, nope, avoid them. Avoid them at all costs. And I know people who have actually started channels where they've gone out and physically purchased subscribers. There are companies out there that will sell you 500, 1,000, 10,000 subscribers for X amount of money. And I know for a fact that there are 3 top creators out there who have 10 million plus, who got there because they bought their first 100,000 subscribers. They literally bought them. There is a gentleman in the UK who I think has the world's record for doing this. He actually made an entire video series, and then YouTube made him take it down. But he showed how to buy a channel with 500,000 subscribers. He broke it down. Showed how to buy 500,000 subscribers. Yeah, that happens. 1 second, everyone. Trying to highlight that. There we go. Is it on the screen? So if you guys want to check her out later on, Auntie Moore Lane. So, I'm not telling you to go over there and check out her channel and subscribe to her, but, go over and check it out. If you like it, then subscribe. But watch her content first. Sorry, I was gone there for a second. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to check out Auntie Moore Lane's channel, there is the live clickable link to Auntie Moore Lane's channel. It appears that Auntie Moore Lane has 953 subscribers right now. Let's see how we got 6. How many videos we got here? Oh, we got way more than 6. Oh, you don't? Do you have playlists? 2 playlists. Chris Watts' case and Bionica Devon's case. So there are 2 playlists. So I'm sorry. I'm checking out her her channels that she subscribes to or watches. There's Stephanie Harlow's on here. Scott Reish. A lot of channels. Jeez, you spend a lot of time on YouTube, don't you? Technomone. Love Technomone. J for Justice. The Proper People. Red Rum. Red Rum's on here. Frankie Ruszczyk Jr.'s on here. Ah, look, there's me. My channel's on here too. Oh, I'll be darned. Law and Crime Network's on here as well. All right, I'm sorry, people. I can go down that rabbit hole for a while. I do this with so many channels that people who are out there. No, you're not underneath my microscope. I do that with a lot of people. I'll go back after this stream. I'll go back and I'll even if people don't tell me that they have a channel or not, I'll go back and I'll check out. I'll go through and go, well, I'll copy and paste the name and then go back in and check to see if they have a channel. You never know what you're going to find. And like, okay, so I was going to tell you guys about this. If you go to my channel, And you scroll all the way to the bottom. It used to be over on the upper right-hand side. So this is my left. This is my right. I know my right's and my right, my left. But on the right-hand side used to be channels that I enjoyed, that I recommended. But they've moved it now. And if YouTube and their infinite freaking wisdom, they, 1 minute it's there, and the next minute they've moved it somewhere else, and then you got to try to figure out where it is. But I only have 4 channels on there right now that are in the true crime genre that I recommend. If somebody after this video, not here in the comment section right now, but after this video is over with, down below underneath this video, if somebody could please leave me a comment of another true crime channel that you enjoy watching, so I can check it out. So I want, it doesn't matter what they're about. I want to add more channels to that list and the true crime genre. I have a lot of legal channels that I watch, and prison reform channels, but I've been trying to keep it to 3 or 4 of this, 3 or 4 of that, 3 or 4 of this. But I only have 4 that are in the true crime list right now. I've got CC, obviously. I have Linda, at Not My Verbiage. I have Red Rum, and I have, who's the other one that I have on there? So there's CC. Oh, Scott Reed, Scott Sharp, CC, Red Rum, and Linda K. Linda at Not My Verbiage. But I want to build a second playlist. Is what I'm trying to get to, and I want it to be just true crime channels. Where right now everything's kind of mixed in. There's 2 or 3 of this, 2 or 3 of that on there. But if you know any good, if there's a true crime out there, obviously besides mine, because we all love my true crime channel. But if you know of one, leave a comment down below afterwards. Let me know. I don't care where they are in the world. If they're in the UK or Ireland, hell, they could be in Borneo, and for all I care. If I like their content, I'll put them on there. Ever watched that chapter? Yes. Cement Shoes. Mike is cool Irishman. He is about as funny as True Crime Loser. I've watched the chapter. I think I watched the chapter just the other day. It's on my subscriber list. I believe. I don't know if I publicly share all my. Well, I have a personal account. Then I have my YouTube account, and then then each and every channel that I have right now has their own subscriber list, and I have a personal account with each and every one. So technically, I have 8 email addresses, and each and every one of them, of course, YouTube assigns each one of them access to YouTube. Have you seen It's a Crime? Yeah. I watched It's a Crime just the other day. The channel I'm assuming you're talking about. Kathy Drew is a Schmida fan. I never understood that. All right. I love Scott Sharp's channel, True Crime Loser. I do. But I always wondered, and I get that the Shemitah and everything else. I get all that. I always thought of myself as more of a stoic lizard because, well, isn't that what he put on his coffee cups was stoic, the stoic lizard? You love Linda over at Not My Verbiage? Why Stiven Y? That's his screen name. Wish you would have thought of that. The stoic lizard. I just think that the stoic lizard is cool as hell. I like that name. You can, and no, you can't take it as a YouTube name because it's already taken. But then again, I mean, I hope she's still here. But Red Rum, I mean, Jesus, you go up to the search box and put in Red Rum. There are so many Red Rums. I think I counted 1,400 is what it came to. It lists it at 50 per page, but there are so many Red Rums and Red Rum this because there's an actual rap artist who went by the name Red Rum for I think 10 years, and that 10 years that he was Red Rum, and then he changed his actual stage name, and then he put out almost an entire album that people referenced as Red Rum. So they tagged him. So when you put Red Rum into the search box, it brings up all those songs and him as an artist, and then about all these other channels that that changed the name to or had the name Red Rum this and it'd be Red Rum 34, Red Rum 7, or whatever the hell it might be, Red Rum 66. I love Jim Can't Swim, but they have been quiet lately. I've watched quite a bit of Jim Can't Swim. I like his content. Their content over there. Buying subs, nothing surprises me in today's world. No. And Gayla, a lot of it is people are hell bent on success. They have this vision of starting a YouTube channel and becoming the next YouTube star, and the notoriety and everything else that goes along with it. And it's just one of those things, that's our society. I mean, you don't, people see, TikTok, and they see things, on TikTok go, viral, and 40 million, views on a TikTok video. And they're like, I want that. I want 40 million people to watch me. They want to be in the limelight. If you go back to where I started at on YouTube and the videos that I was doing when I started, I've become more and more of, I want to be off the screen. I don't want to necessarily be on screen. I want to do the same content, but I don't want to be on screen as much. Cement Shoes interrogation breakdowns, very detailed. TCL works with them. Yeah, he does. He does a damn good job. I love the way Scott actually adds that comical humor. So he's giving you it's obviously it's a sensitive subject matter, and he's very serious about it. But he has a way of throwing in some comical humor in there that kind of lighten the load of the information you're receiving. So. And he's actually a really funny guy too, his stand-up. Because in the beginning, he wouldn't link his comedy to his True Crime Loser, but now he does in the description of every video. He's actually posted a link to his comedy in there. Yeah, if you ever watch anything of Scott Sharp's, you've got to see his wedding speech that he did for his sister. I I've never laughed so hard in my life. That I don't know if that video is still on his comedy channel or not. The entire video. I know he had the full video and then he had a partial one, but you've got to see that video. Whoops. What's an unattainable goal? I don't think there's any unattainable goals. I mean, I have videos on my YouTube where I have been viewed by 400, 500,000 people. That's, to me, that's about as viral as I'm ever going to get. I've got quite a few videos that are 200, 300,000 views. And, and then I put out the poll this past week, asking, trying to find an answer to why is it that I have a 70%, roughly 70%, of the people who view this stream right here, who are going to watch this, who maybe they're not commenting in the comment section right now, but are viewing this now while it's live, who are not subscribers. And people who are viewing my content every single week from the suggested tab from their homepage. They log on to YouTube, they go to their video, and at the top where the next they call it the next up section, the next video up, they'll click on that, they'll see, oh look, he's got a new video out. Or they'll click there and on that video, and they'll watch that video, and then the sidebar comes up with the next up videos, and they'll watch a video of mine there. Maybe they watch 2, maybe they watch 5, but they'll do that over and over again, but they'll never click the subscribe button. And I was trying to figure out why. I mean, if 70% of the people out there who are watching my content never subscribe, it's really hard to get a sense of what people are watching and what they like and for the content that I'm making. I can't make this better if I don't ever get any feedback, and I may not comment to reply back to everyone. It's like the community tab. People I like, well, why did you not, like, and comment and reply to my comment in the comment section or in the community tab? Because it doesn't come up on my phone. Every comment that I reply to comes up on my phone. I don't sit here in front of the computer all day long replying to the comment section. And I know people are going to take that the wrong way. I know it. And it happens because I have such an abrupt way of putting it, I guess. But it's the truth. I want to grow my channel. I do. I don't want to become the next YouTube star. I don't think I need, 5 million subscribers. And if 5 million come, great. But I want to figure out how to convert people who are watching my content every single week. And I've seen the metrics, out there and the data. And yeah, I know, ignore the data. People are watching your content. Just shut up and be appreciative of that. I heard it in the comment section, the community tab. I hear it all the time. But I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to walk away. I want to grow this and I want to make it better. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with me wanting to offer a better product for everyone to watch and enjoy. And I can't do that if I don't get more people to actually subscribe, and so I can see where they're dropping off. Okay, maybe the video's 10 minutes, and at the 5-minute mark, they're or 4-minute mark, they're clicking off the video. Then I can go back on that video and go, okay, what's happening at the 4 and 5-minute mark where I'm losing, the interest of the person who's watching this video, and then I find out, oh, well, you know what? You've been long-winded during this part, and you didn't get to the actual point, and you've drawn it out too long. So maybe that 10-minute video should have been closer to 6 minutes, and take out some of that on the next one. So you don't have to drag it on. Get to the point. So that next video, I do it. And then, I'm now, instead of like the 3-minute, 4-minute mark, people are staying to 5 minutes, and as soon as my ending credits come on, they're out. Great. But how do I get to that point if I never get that metric from those 70% who are watching my content every week and are not, subscribed? Because it doesn't give me any details about when a non-subscriber is leaving the actual video. Only a subscriber. So I can keep on making the same content, but it's never going to get better. So I have to sit here and try to make guesses. Well, this is what I think that, I can do. This is what I think I should do here. I know that's a long-winded, explanation, but the Rapper Brothers onto Gutlet, missing mom. Julie Johnson, welcome to the stream. I'm sorry if I missed you earlier. There's another one. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, if that's actually a word, DA10. So I'm just going to go with Murphy. Welcome to the stream, Murphy. Sorry if I missed your comments earlier. Welcome to the stream, and I hope you both are doing well today. Yeah, email me. I mean, the same way that I was talking about earlier. Go to my About Me page, email me. I'd be more than happy to give you pointers, on where to start, and so you don't have to fumble and make the same mistakes I did. Ask me a question. I'm more than willing to help. I mean, if nothing else in this world, I really believe everybody has a voice, and they really should. This is a free and open platform, so I encourage more and more people to be out there, just to understand that you're going to fall, you're going to make mistakes, and that's just life. And maybe your channel will take off if you are your podcast, and you'll become the next star out there. I just hope if that does happen, that you look back and say, you know what, there was this guy who was kind of a bumbling fool who talks about true crime, and he was really helpful for and when I started off, I'm going to return the favor to somebody else for what I've learned from what he told me and what I've learned along the way on top of it. Give back. Help somebody else out. You don't have to do it the next day, but help somebody else out. Thank you, Auntie Moore. I don't know about raving about me, but I mean, I'm human. I have faults. I'm never going to be perfect. Just do the best that I can in this life, and understand that where my shortcomings are, and correct for what I do and my mistakes. Coffee's cold. I know, refresh it. That's how you run 3 YouTube channels, ladies and gentlemen, and 2 podcasts, is you keep the coffee within arm's reach. Yeah. There's your first tip of the day. And how to become a YouTube success. Keep the coffee within arm's reach. And I got to finish this damn stuff up today. This wall. You guys have no idea just how cold it is in here right now. My thermometer over here, my digital thermometer over here on the wall says that outside it is 31 degrees outside, and in here where I am right now is 39. Yay! Oh. But I got to get that wall done and put the ceiling tiles back up. Because me and my wife need to shoot my podcast either probably do it later today. It's snowy there in Colorado, Julie. Yeah, I was talking to my sister the other night. She's got quite a bit of snow where she's at down there in Colorado. She's closer to Denver. She used to live in the Greeley, Fort Collins area, but now she's closer to Denver. I have never been to her new place. I should do that. Well, I was planning on doing it this past summer, but, well, COVID came along and that pretty much ruined everything. Wow, fireplace. Need. You freeze for us? Eh. Lisa Irwin, I don't know about freezing, but I'm certainly cold. Police here have been brilliant. Will those bulbs in your office, they're holy? Oh, these? Give you a size context, okay? See how big that is? That's my head. That's how big that bulb is. So these are professional photographer lights. They go in these right here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that reattaches back on there. But they come in 3 different styles, but these are for a professional photography studio, and that's where I got all these lights. I got them off of Craigslist from. I actually know the guy who had them for sale, but I didn't know it was him when they came up for sale. The lights normally would be each one of these is about 100 and a half right in there. These are not like the cheaper versions of they have a cheaper version. You can get like a whole package of them, lights and green background screen and everything else for about $170 on Amazon. But these are not the same style. Those ones that are on Amazon are super cheap. Like the poles would bend. They have no weight to them at all. A gentle breeze would knock them over. These ones have the ability you can attach the weight bags to them, and the poles are actually made out of solid steel. So you can take these lights off of the pole, and they're actually there's a magnet on the magnet like this, and it attaches to the top, or you can move them this way, or there's multiple different ways to move these ones around on the poles themselves, and the poles are adjustable up and down. But he's a professional photographer, still life photographer. He does a lot of scenic photographs, kind of like Ansel Adams kind of work. I wouldn't put him in the same boat as Ansel Adams, but he does a lot of still life photography like Ansel Adams with stuff like that. And to supplement his income, he also does family portraits. And that's where these lights came from. He was upgrading from these ones to a new LED system, and he just didn't need these ones anymore. So there are a total of 6 of these lights. There's one there, and there are 4 that are right above me here. I don't know if this one's even turned on. No. I've got another one that is right here in front of me. This one's super cool. So that one's smaller than that one. All right, and then this one. See, you see the brightness there? I'm clicking it down so I can turn it. Watch this side of my face here. You can actually turn it down. I'm turning it up now. Or you can go to what's called model glow. See how that it's more, the skin tone is more natural. That's model glow for taking pictures of family and photography. This one, there's an actual camera. One second here, let me detach this. That is inside this actual light. But that's model glow. You can turn that up and down as well. Up and down. And then off. It's pretty cool. It takes a lot of time to figure this stuff out. Nothing is easy. At least not for me. Might come naturally to a lot of other people. Might come a lot more natural to the ladies out there. I mean, for me, I wake up in the morning, I jump in the shower, I get out of the shower, dry off, put on my clothes, go about my day. I don't wake up in the morning, and after a shower have to put makeup on, or worry about how the light looks for my complexion. Nope. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to cough right into the microphone. Move that back to where it was. There. But it doesn't come naturally to me to figure this stuff out. That's my point there. I'm still here. Meli from AZ. AZ. So AZ is Australia, right? The Australia. Viva la Dirt League. Australian in New Zealand. Will in makeup. LOL. I've worn makeup before in her piece. When my daughter was no, she was younger. I think she was about 6 or 7. She used to put makeup on me all the time. And as a good daddy, I'd let her. She'd put lipstick on me and eyeshadow. Her mom gave her a whole makeup little bag, and she put it on herself. And she wanted me to, we'd have our little tea parties, and we'd be playing it in the house, and I put on makeup for her. You thought Arizona? Well, yeah, Arizona is AZ, but it wouldn't be the double capital, would it? So I was thinking AZ would be Australia. You reckon the NK knows that? I heard Chris Watts is making an appeal to restart a trial. He will never get out. No, he's never going to get out. And I'm here to tell you, and everybody out there, no, that's AU is Australia. So AZ is Arizona. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to confuse everybody else out there. So you're right, Simichu. Um, Christopher Watts is not going to get a new trial. And I really, really cannot express this any more than that. And I really, if you find someone or hear someone who wants to give money to this legal defense fund to get Chris a new trial, or his girlfriend Kim decides that is in one of her videos or whatever she's going to do to try to get him a new trial, it's not going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. There is an infinite, negative infinite number that is below zero that of chance of him ever getting a new trial. The only avenues to appeal that Chris has is he has to be able to prove one of two things. And he knew this when he signed the plea agreement with the state. He knew this. One, he has to be able to prove that his defense was ineffective, that they did not help him in certain aspects. They had to help him with the plea agreement itself. They had to, he has to prove that they didn't help him with the plea agreement. He has to his next one is he has to be able to prove that they did not help him in his defense against the charges, and he had complete ineffective counsel. Anyone with $32.15, I think it's $32.15 with tax, at least it is from where I am, and from requesting the copy. You can request a copy of the actual transcript of the court case itself. That has not been sealed. You will not get an evidentiary statement with that, but you can actually see the transcript from the actual court of what the judge said, what the defense said, what the DA said, everything in there. And you can see that there is absolutely nothing in there that gives Chris the grounds to prove ineffective counsel. That is one avenue of his appeal. The only other avenue to an appeal that Chris can actually file under, again, by the actual plea agreement in the state of Colorado. It's right there. You can look it up yourself. It's on the internet. You don't even have to pay a dime to get what the plea agreement actually says. Is he has to prove that the court made an egregious error against him. That error must be either in tabulation of time, that he must serve, that they made an error in violating his rights to due process, or they made an error in the sentencing guidelines. That's it. That's the only avenues that he has to appeal. Again, by requesting the copy of the transcripts from the court, you can read for yourself that there is nothing there. The tabulation of time that he was given by the court, everything works out completely. Time-wise, you figure out, okay, this is what he got, and this is what the sentence was for this charge, and this charge. And then you can add up the years yourself, and you can figure it out. Well, yep. And there it is. It all adds up. And it's perfect. They didn't make any errors against him. And even then, let's just say, hypothetically, his attorney was a bumbling moron and was smoking crack in the courtroom. And the judge then partaked in that crack cocaine himself. And the two of them were smoking crack right there in the courtroom. And we all missed that on the live telecast of the entire thing. And we missed it in the transcript. Even then, he will never get a trial. The most that they can do is say, okay, we're going back to the plea bargaining table, and the state Supreme Court in Colorado has already determined this, and it's well precedented. There's multiple case studies for this. When the errors do come up, He will go back to the bargaining table, and he can say, okay, instead of doing 115 years, I will now change my and agree to a plea bargain that I only have to do 75 or 60. Even if he gets 60 years, he's going to die right where he is. A long, drawn out life, sitting in a concrete cell. And he is never going to see the free world again. Even if the judge and his attorney were smoking crack, he can't get a trial. And that is the one thing that is the most disturbing about this, is there are people out there who really believe that this a-hole and his girlfriend, are going to be able to get him an actual real trial. That is why the GoFundMe has blocked her or any more GoFundMe attempts to raise money for him to get a trial, because they're lying to the general public in that there is an avenue for him to ever get a trial. If they said that they wanted to raise money to get the governor of Colorado to, lessen his sentence, or to get Trump to give him a pardon, that would be a completely different story. They can raise all the money in the damn world for that, but they're not. They are lying, and they are preying upon the general public that we are not smart enough, and we don't have the ability to be able to read. If I'm not mistaken, most states have a law, or whatever you want to call it, where police are allowed to stretch the truth or make shit up completely. They can lie till they're blue in the face. Yeah, you are absolutely right, and that's actually been ruled by the United States Supreme Court that it is not illegal for an officer during a time where they are taking a statement or a confession from you to lie to you to get you to confess. That has actually gone all the way to the United States Supreme Court. It's not a state issue; it is a federal issue. The United States Supreme Court has ruled more than once, and they're very well-known cases. I'm not an attorney, so I'm not going to cite them, the actual case court cases themselves, but I think it was Brown versus U.S. or something like that. But they ruled that during an investigation and an interrogation, it is legal for an officer of the law, not doesn't say a Leo, but an officer of the law, to lie or to persuade an individual. Now, they can't beat you to the point where you confess. They can't, hook up electrodes to you until you confess. There are certain, boundaries they can't cross. They can't not put you in, a sensitive deprivation, where, and they torture you. They can't put you in water. They can't waterboard you. There are certain things they can't do. But it is totally legal for within the law, and the Supreme Court has actually ruled on this that they can lie to you. Now, I don't. When it came to Chris Watts, and she put out that was it Shanann who did this? Yeah, that's a tactic that you will see over and over and over again. If you ever watch, some of the videos, that Scott Sharp has done over on True Crime Loser, and some of these interrogation videos, if you watch them, the police will try to lead the person along, like, hey, you know what? It wasn't your fault that you got into this situation, without saying you killed them. They'll say you got into this situation. They're trying to befriend them. They're trying to get them to continue the conversation. Because the longer you can get the person to talk, the more they're going to trip themselves up. And then the detective or the officer can go back and go, well, earlier you said that you didn't do it, but you remembered where the knife was. Can you tell me more about that knife? And what they're trying to do is they're trying to get that person to now think back, excuse me, to that point, in the conversation. It might have been a half an hour ago. It could have been 5 hours ago. Whatever, however long the conversation actually takes. They can say, well, we'll go back to this because it's proven that when someone is lying, they're not able to keep up necessarily with the thought pattern that they're making as they're making it up in their mind. My version of the story is I was there. I found the knife next to her. She had already been stabbed. I picked up the knife. That's how my handprints got on the knife. Where'd the cut on my hand come from? Well, that cut came from, I was at work. Yeah, I was at work and I nicked myself. No, it's not from the knife. But the officer already knows that there is trace blood, evidence on the blade of the knife from when the person used it to stab them, and it was a defensive wound. When they were fighting the person off to stab them, they cut their finger with the blade of the knife. They already know that. But the person who's they're talking to, who they're trying to get a confession out of, doesn't know what they know. And so they might just get to the point where the detective just says, "Look, I've had enough of this shit. Why don't you tell us the truth now? Because it's just not adding up." Yeah, they can. That's true to a point, but that's not necessarily how it happens everywhere though. Ariana, they can lie to you if you lie to them. Yeah, they can decide that it's an obstruction of justice charge. But most law enforcement, if they know you're guilty of a crime, yeah, they can make up anything to hold you. But not all officers are bad, and not all detectives are bad. They have a job to do to solve a crime, but they're not out there to try to ring people up and incarcerate them on bullshit charges. I mean, if they did that, they could fill their jails every single day. If you drive a car anywhere, they say that the average person commits 1 to 4 traffic offenses just driving to the grocery store here in the United States. I mean, I can't say that for the rest of the world, but I know that here in the United States, that is the average statistic: is 1 to 4 traffic offenses. You violate something. Either you didn't turn on your signal early enough before you pulled into the parking lot, or maybe you went a little bit above the speed limit. These are all infractions that people commit on a daily basis. But where do you draw the line on what's actually a ticketable offense, or excuse me. If you go no comment in the UK, you still have to testify in court, and the judge will direct the jury that you refuse questions, and they can interpret that however they want. That's true for in a lot of cases here in the United States too, Karen. There are a lot of people that refuse to cooperate with the law enforcement, and the DA then brings that up. The prosecuting attorney will bring that up in the case. They refuse to cooperate. If you're innocent, why didn't you cooperate with us? And I hate to break the bad news to a lot of Americans out there, but when it comes to the criminal justice system, there are a lot of people out there who will plead guilty or take a plea bargain to a crime that they have never committed, just so they can get the heck out of there. Pay the fine, go home, so they can be with their children, their loved ones, or whoever, or go back to work. And it happens everywhere. And it happens even more. The poorer you are, the more likely you are to actually plead guilty to a crime you never actually committed, just so you can go back to your life, to your family, to your job. It happens all the time. And it's because when it comes to the legal system here in America, I can't speak about the rest of the world, but the legal system here in America is frightening. It's frightening just how the view of the justice system is for a lot of people. Yeah, sure, there are a lot of people out there who commit a lot of heinous crimes, and a lot of bad people out there, but a lot of good people get caught up in a system that is truly broken. And you can't blame the officer on the street who's just doing his job. He's being paid to enforce the laws that are written. The law may be unjust against and punishing towards certain minorities and ethnic, and socioeconomic levels. The law may punish them a heck of a lot more than others, but they don't get to take that into context. Okay, this is the law. The law says I must enforce this law until I'm told otherwise. And there has been a ruling that this law is unconstitutional or whatever. I have to enforce this law, even if it hurts these people more than these people. So is that really the law enforcement officer's responsibility? No. He has to enforce the law, or she has to enforce the law. The U.S. will always be a democratic society. That's always is awesome. That's what's also always awesome about America. It's not perfect, but it is what we have. And there are a lot of issues when it comes to the legal system that is truly broken and needs to be fixed. The number one thing that we need to address here in America, and should have been on everyone's plate, especially in light of the recent presidential election, the number one thing that everyone should have been really focused on is bail. The cash for bail system in America is so punishing of everyone who makes from the medium income level and lower. It destroys lives. It separates families, and it does more damage than it's ever done good. There are countries that are much more behind the United States in socioeconomic levels, entire countries, who would never think about having a reward system in place for a middleman. A bail bondsman is the most despicable that we would say, you know what? We're going to make you give us $300 up front just so you can go to court to prove that you're innocent of what you're innocent of and what they know you're innocent of. But it has the mistake that somebody wrote down your name. Somebody stole your identity. We know that. Thank you very much for proving that your identity was stolen, and this person got a felony, charge and a warrant for their arrest. But we arrested you, and now your children have no place to go. They have to live with grandma for the week while we incarcerate you. You lost your job? Too fucking bad. Oh, by the way, give us $300 and we'll let you out until your court date. And then somewhere between now and then, you can hope that they drop the charge because they realize, you know what? It wasn't you after all. What kind of country would have something like that? No, the United States would have that. The United States. It's so broken, and there are so many better systems out there than cash for bail system. That in certain states here in the United States have actually done away with the cash bail system, and they've proven that they have a higher rate of citizens who report to actual court, who go through their court case, and they don't have to put up cash. Is $300 bail, is that low? Well, I mean, $300 would be 10% of the $3,000 bail. If you are arrested, Mike, and good morning, Mike. If you're arrested for a charge of, let's say, um, threatening a public servant, if you are arrested on that charge and they give you a $3,000 bail, you have to put up 10%. That's $300. And yeah, maybe you don't have. Maybe you and Brandy don't have $300 in the jail in the your bank account. Maybe you're 3 days from payday, and you guys are living paycheck to paycheck. Where are you going to get $300 from? Well, somebody on the outside is going to have to borrow that money, and maybe they have to borrow it from a payday loan store, or they have to pawn something, and they have to pay the exorbitant fees there to get that $300 to get you out of jail, so you can prove that, you know what, it wasn't Mike Brown, it was Mike Brown who made the threat against the public servant, not the MYK, Brown. That happens. It happens a lot. My friend was arrested, and they said that he was an unregistered sex offender. They arrested him and he damn near lost his job. And they plastered his face on the evening news. And it turns out, we knew it wasn't him. He knew it wasn't him. It just happened to be that somebody who had the same name as him and the same spelling as his, had the same criminal charge. But it had the criminal charge. He didn't have the criminal charge. But it happens. But they arrested him. They plastered him on the news. Who are you going to sue? You can't sue. You can't sue the news station for doing their job. You can't sue the cops for arresting you. They were doing their job. They went out and found this guy who matched this information. He matched the build, the height, the information that was on the warrant, had this name, and he lived in this city. They did their job. It happens. Yeah. Oh, there's when it comes to the bail system, there is no concern. And some of these bail bondsmen, and companies that are out there, they legally are capped at a certain level for what the interest they can charge, but they get around it by other shady practices. Well, you don't have enough collateral to secure this bond, but I happen to have a friend who works over here at this payday loan store, and she's a wonderful person. But what she can do for you is she can help you out. Since you don't have the 10%, if you can come up with 20%, cash up front, we can get this bail, this written. All right, but this is what you need to do. You need to go over to her store, and what she's going to do is she's going to need you to write her 4 post-dated checks. It's really simple. You can pay them back after you get paid for the next 4 months, of payments. So you pay those checks off. And what that bail bondsman is doing is he's getting a kickback from his friend who runs the payday loan store, or maybe it's his wife, or maybe it's really him who owns both. So he's capped that he can only charge so much interest on the actual bond and so much in fees. But if he owns the other entity where he can get somebody to, push them all over here where they write post-dated checks, and you can charge them the 25% interest on the loans there, it makes him more and more money. And then if he takes the titles to someone's car, or he holds it physical collateral, and somebody skips out. I mean, I've seen people bail a loved one out of jail. They put up a car that that was paid off in full, and they're trying to get like someone's daughter or son out of jail so they could face other charges. As stupid as that is, they had other charges and they got arrested for something else in the meantime. So they need to get out so they could actually defend themselves against the other charges. And they ended up losing the bail because they didn't show up on the other charges. They skipped out, or maybe they got incarcerated on the other charges and the paperwork didn't catch up. In the meantime, they lost all that bail. And the bail bondsman, it's not in their best interest to give the money back right away. They'll give it back maybe if the person's been incarcerated on another charge. But I've seen a lot of crazy shit over the years happen. Cash bond, yeah. There are different bail bonds across depending on where you live. I mean, I don't know all the ins and outs of the bail bond system. I've had friends who worked in bail bonds companies, and you would never believe some of the stories and how predatory they are upon people who are poor. Mom comes in, mom is on state assistance. She can't afford, everything or anything really herself, but she needs to get her husband out of jail because she works and maybe she's a waitress somewhere and she's trying to make the best of it and try to get out of, lift herself up out of poverty. And she's going to night school. Well, husband got arrested for a DUI. He's going to sit in jail for the next, week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks until his court case comes up. But she's going to lose her job. She's going to fail out of school. And her life is going to take a major step backwards unless she can get that a-hole out of jail. So he can be there to watch the children so she can work, so she can go to school. And she's got to bail him out. She's got to come up with that $500, dollars or whatever the cash amount, that 10% or whatever it might be to get him out. But she ain't got that money in the bank. She's already living well below the poverty level. It happens, and that's why the bail system, cash bail system is so flawed. And there are states that where they have a much better returns on people showing up for court than they do in states where there's cash bail. I mean, if you add $1 million bail, let's just take Lori Vallow, and her husband, Mr. Dumbbell. They were never going to come up with. Lori's bail is $1,150,000. That is her bail. Just hers. $1 million on the 2 felony conspiracy charges, and $150,000 bail on the 3 misdemeanor charges that she has pending against her. In order for Lori to get a bond, she would have to find somebody or have collateral herself that is in excess of $1,150,000. The most expensive home that Lori Vallow has ever lived in her entire life, or had access to where it could have been collateral, is when she lived with Charles. Her home was worth right around $600,000, but she never got $600,000 out of that home. She never paid off the home. So she had a total equity, I think, about $200,000 in that house. But that's the most expensive high-end thing that she's ever had in her life. She was poor before then. She was broke. She may have had a good life, or everything might have been going at some point, but she's used people her entire life to get everything that she's ever wanted or needed in this world. But she ain't gonna afford $1,150,000. Even if she had the collateral, she still has to put up 10% of that. She doesn't have that. Does Chad have $1 million? Chad had a heck of a better chance of getting bailed out than Lori did, because he he could have put up the rights to his books, the reproduction rights, which depend upon the sales volume and everything else. Might have been something very interesting if he would have put up the copyrights to his books. I would bet, along with that and his home there in Salem, I bet Chad could have come up with the actual collateral itself. If he didn't, I bet that would have been very tempting for a bail bonds company to look at. Wow, 11 books, the copyrights, resale rights to those those copyrights. Okay, and then a home, and land. All right, all you got to do is come up with 10%. And I'm not even sure if he actually, in his legal defense team, ever came to a bail bondsman and said, put it out on a plate and said, okay, what do you think? Because unless him and Lori blew all that money in Hawaii, he should still have a large chunk of that. And on top of that, there are people who are financially supporting him while they're in jail. Maybe they would have come up with the, well, I don't have 10%. I'll put up 2% of that, and we can all get together and come up with 10%. The cash doesn't have to come from one person. The cash can come from a million different people. But he could have bailed out. $115,000, Mike. You're talking about Lori's bail? Well, Lori's bail is $50,000 on each misdemeanor. So the three misdemeanors together is $150,000, and $1 million on the two felony charges. It's funny though. I was reading the actual transcript. I have it over there on the shelf of the transcript of Mr. Means asking for at the court hearing. He wanted the bail reduced on the 3 misdemeanor charges. It was originally $1 million because there were 2 felonies and 3 misdemeanors. That's what actually got her extradited back from Hawaii. But they dropped the 2 felonies and just had the 3 misdemeanors. And Mr. Means was like, well, I think $10,000 on all 3 of these misdemeanors is more than sufficient. And you could hear like a pin drop in that courtroom. And I'm like, wow. Because if you were anyone else in this state, you would have got $100,000 bail on those three charges. But the judge said, no, $50,000 on each. So for $150,000 total. Kind of like, slap in the face to Mr. Means for even asking for $10,000 bail on 3 charges. Sure, they're not as serious as the other ones, but she still is facing 2 years in prison on just the misdemeanor charges if she's convicted of those misdemeanors alone. That's 2 years in prison. So with from the time that she was arrested and extradited back arrested and incarcerated in Hawaii, from that moment on, if she gets a trial in June, they'll give her time served from that moment from Hawaii onward on those, just the misdemeanor charges. She'll get time served on those. That was 10%, 115,000. Okay. They'll never get out. Better get cozy in your jail cell, Lori. Yeah. I mean, I hope that porthole is working really good for him. Yeah, people have asked me a lot. Are they able to write each other? Are they able to, call each other? Nope. They can relay messages through other people, but they cannot call each other and they cannot write each other. You are not allowed to have any communication with your co-conspirators on those charges. Well, in a nutshell, most of the time, you're not allowed to have any contact with somebody who is facing the same charges as you, especially if you're arrested for the same charges. 1 second here. Oh, okay. I got to wrap this up. Got to wrap up the live stream, ladies and gentlemen. My wife wants me to know that breakfast is done. So I got to go eat breakfast. Well, I'm sorry for rambling on. And Rosemary Kennedy, welcome. Sorry you just got here today at the end of it. But you can watch it and rewind. But I hope you have a great day, Rosemary. And everybody else out there, thank you for joining me today. And you all have a great weekend and stay safe out there. And I will see you again soon. Mike, you need a Ferrari.